I'm here just for 5 minutes to talk about excellence and maintaining excellence. And I've got 5 points that I'd like to share with you. Number one is you've got to have a vision. You have to have a destination that you want to go to. Now, our destination in 4.5 months is winning a gold medal in Rio. But when you say it like that, it sounds a little bit boring. Haven't got the proper flesh around it. So my vision actually is a little bit more detailed than that. And when you make your vision, you've got to have one that you really believe in and one that you feel is alive. So August the 11th in Rio, back here on the islands around late morning on Thursday the 11th of August. If we get our vision right, we'll be lining up for the national anthems before the gold medal game. Now, the way that I started the journey with Fiji and the way that we'll finish it in the Olympic Games, it's never straightforward. So don't expect us, if our vision's right, to win a gold medal by 40 points. Expect the last play, and this is where I'd like my vision to gain some feeling. That last play, when maybe 1 million Fijians might be gathered around various televisions, rather than do the normal thing where everyone's screaming and shouting, they can't. Because on that last play, we either need to score or we need to hold out the opposition. It's not going to be a simple way to win a gold medal. And for that moment, I call it the freeze. That moment, there will be no shouting. It will be the first time in Fiji that it will freeze over. Everybody will be holding their breath, waiting for us to decide and see whether we've won a gold medal or we haven't won a gold medal. Now that's my vision. Obviously I'd love to win by 40 points, but it's our end goal. Now to make sure that we are on the path to be able to run onto the field for that gold medal game, we have to constantly reassess with small goals to make sure that we know that we're on our track. Now those small goals might be as simple as Nather, our conditioner, getting the calipers out to decide see whether Pio's lost a few millimetres of fat around his posterior perhaps, or it might be a fitness test. It might be whether a technique has been improved. But whatever it is, we'll constantly set these small targets, these small goals along the way. The third thing to maintain excellence is what I call thicken the skin. Now for me, it's quite easy. I've heard that in some of the other countries, if they lose a game of sevens, they get a lot of grief. You know, it's almost as though everything's fallen in. Luckily in Fiji, it's not like that at all. Everybody's understanding if we don't beat New Zealand by a couple of points. Senga-nalenga, everything's okay. They'll be all right on the night. But that pressure, and there's different types of pressure that the boys will get, you want to have as many things as possible to thicken your skin as a team. Because when you get to Olympic Games, or when you get to whatever it is at the end of your vision, you have to be able to cope with anything. Now, in the short time I've been an international coach, before a game I've had 2 boys collide into each other and knock themselves out. We've had a terrorist attack warning, where we've had armed guards escorting the team out to play. We've had the numbers of our shirts peeling off because they weren't fitted on properly, and that incurred a £50,000 fine with every number. And I had a pen in the tunnel writing number 10 on Bengoling's back as they were all peeling off, and I was hoping that it wasn't going to count into hundreds of thousands of pounds. I've had the bus crash on the way to a tournament. I've had our star player get ill. I've had our star player go down in the first game. And all of those things are the what-if scenarios. All of those things, if you aren't prepared, if your skin isn't thick enough, you're going to fall over. It's going to be too much for you. So across the next 4 months, we want as much pressure as we can. That mental toughness, that thickening of the skin is a natural process for us. So we welcome all of those opportunities so that when we get to Rio on August the 11th, whatever's thrown at us, whatever happens in the week preceding or the month preceding, we can deal with it. The fourth thing is review. You need to constantly review what you're doing. I spoke to a world champion downhill mountain biker once, and I said it must be a nightmare going down those tracks in forests. It's 50 plus kilometers an hour sometimes. You really got to keep your eye on the wheel. And he says, I never keep my eye on the wheel. He said, I don't do that because I'm always scanning 5 meters ahead of me. I'm always looking for the next danger. Then I don't worry about the imminent danger because I've already seen it, I've already scanned. And that's what reviews are all about. Are you on the right path? The path that you've just done, is it the right one? New Zealand suddenly bring in 3 or 4 key players that perhaps play a little bit differently to what you're accustomed to. Is the path you're on the right one? Do you want to change it a little bit? You're constantly reviewing all the time to make sure that not only the path that you've decided is the right one, but if it isn't, what adjustments you need to make before you start having to look at that tyre again. You keep looking ahead, so you're one step ahead. And the final point I've got is that you need to believe, but you don't need to be dazzled. So once the boys get to number 1, or once they win a tournament, if you start thinking you're better than you are, you're dead in the water. If you think you can't improve, you're dead in the water. You can't be big-headed. That reminds me, actually, I've got a new aftershave range coming out. Can't decide the name. I think I'm just going to call it Levu, and it's available. But you can't be big-headed. You can't have your own clothing ranges. And you've got to make sure that you keep your feet on the ground, and you don't listen to the people that tell you that you're better than you are, and you don't listen to the people that tell you that you're worse than you are. And there's a phrase that the New York Giants had going out in the 1980s that I put on the team that I first coached in England on their training shirts. And it was, blame nobody, expect nothing, do something. And it's a strapline that we keep with the Fiji boys as well. So thank you very much for the 5 minutes tonight, Donata.